Hello dear students. In the last lecture we have discussed about the price elasticity of demand, about the difference between point and arc elasticity of demand. After that we have discussed about the relationship among the price elasticity of demand, total revenue and marginal revenue of the firm. Then finally we have discussed about the factors, that what are the factors affecting the price elasticity of demand. Now in this session I am going to explain you the concept of income elasticity of demand. The level of consumer income is also a very important determinant of demand. We can measure the responsiveness in the demand for a commodity to a change in consumer income by the income elasticity of demand. Let me define the income elasticity of demand. Simple. It measures the this concept measures the it measures the responsiveness in the change in quantity demanded due to the change in income of the consumer. It measures the responsiveness in the change in quantity demanded due to the change in income of the consumer. In this analysis, we are keeping all other factors constant. We are just trying to measure the impact of a change in income on the change in quantity demanded of a consumer. That how much the consumer is responsive in the change in quantity demand due to the change in income of the consumer. So, income elasticity of demand measures, it is calculated as the ratio of the change in quantity demanded divided by the change in the level of income. It is calculated as the ratio of percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in income. And ceteris paribus, it means that other factors which are affecting the demand are constant. So, it is calculated as the ratio of change in quantity demanded divided by change in income. Symbolically we can write it as EI. I stands for income. Sometimes we are using EY. Y means income. So, you can use I or Y to denote the income elasticity of demand. So, EY is equal to due to change in income, or like you can write it as EI is equal to percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in income. We can write it as change in Q divided by Q whole divided by change in I divided by I, multiply change in Q divided by Q whole divided by change in I divided by I. We can multiply it as change in Q divided by Q multiply I divided by change in I. Change in Q divided by change in I multiply I divided by Q. This is the formula for measuring the income elasticity of demand. Change in Q divided by change in I multiply I by Q. In terms of calculus, we can write as in terms of calculus, we can write it as income elasticity of demand is equal to change into Q change into I multiply I divided by Q. We will use the symbol of partial derivative which we have discussed in the previous chapter. So, this is the formula for measuring the income elasticity of demand. Change in Q, this is equal to Q2 minus Q1, new quantity minus original quantity. This will be I2 minus I1, new income level minus the previous income level. I, this is the original income, Q is the original quantity. Now, we have discussed about the nature of the change. For example, if income increases or decreases, so the point income elasticity of demand value will be different, as was the case in price elasticity of demand. So, we can write it as, for example, we have two concepts. Number one is point income elasticity of demand. The second is arc income elasticity of demand. These are the two important concepts under the main heading of the income elasticity of demand. Point income elasticity of demand, this is the case, the same case like the point price elasticity of demand which we have discussed in the last lecture. So, for example, if income increases or decreases, quantity demand for X increases or decreases, but in this case when income rises or false. In these cases, this value is not unique. Like the price elasticity of demand, if income increases or decreases, the value of the income elasticity of demand will not be unique, will not be the same. Like for example, Y1, this is the original income $200 and quantity demand X1 was 400 units. Now income of the consumer changed from $200 to $300. Now quantity demanded of X, which is QX2, is equal to suppose 500. This is the case of increase in income. Now if we are talking about the case of decrease in income, for example, if we replace this Y2 with Y1 and this Y1 with Y2, this QX2 with QX1 and this QX1 with QX2, and then we measure the elasticity, means the income elasticity of demand, we will get different values. That's why the point income elasticity of demand gives different results depending on whether income increases or decreases. So in order to avoid this issue, you can calculate it. You can calculate it. For example, first you need to take Y1, this is QX1, Y2 and this is QX2. Calculate the income elasticity of demand, which is very simple. Like you can calculate it. We say that change into Q, change in I multiply I divided by Q, you can use it. QX2 minus QX1 divided by I2 minus I1 multiply I divided by Q. This is the original income level and this is the original quantity. You can calculate the value of income elasticity of demand for this case. Now if we change this term, for example, this is Y2 and this is Y1, this is QX2 and this is QX1, and then again you calculate the same income elasticity of demand, the answer you will get will be totally different from this one. That's why we are using the concept of arc income elasticity of demand. So we will use this concept, the arc income elasticity of demand, in order to avoid the different results. So we will use the concept of arc income elasticity of demand. Arc income elasticity of demand measures the averages of income and the averages of quantity demanded. Same the case with the price income elasticity of demand. So in the arc income elasticity of demand, it utilizes the averages of the original and new income. Averages of the original, averages of the original and new incomes. Averages of the original and new incomes and averages of the original and new quantities. So the concept of arc income elasticity of demand utilizes the averages of the original and new incomes as well as the averages of the original and new quantities. So by doing this we can get the same result if the income falls or if the income rises. So the formula for arc income elasticity of demand will be, this is the formula, change in Q divided by change in income multiply by I2 plus I1 divided by 2 because we are taking average, and then Q2 plus Q1 divided by 2. We can write it as change in Q2 minus Q1 divided by I2 minus I1 multiply I2 plus I1 divided by Q2 plus Q1. This is the formula for the measurement of the arc income elasticity of demand. So the arc income elasticity of demand, this formula measures the average relative responses in the demand for a commodity for a change in income level from I1 to I2. Now as we know that we have different kinds of commodities, so for different kinds of commodities we have different income elasticities of demand. If, for example, if increase in income leads to an increase in demand for the commodity, so the income elasticity of demand will be positive. For example, if income of the consumer increases and in a result quantity demanded of commodity X increases as well, so in this case the answer will be positive, it will be greater than 0. The numerical value of the income elasticity of demand will be positive. If this is the case, we can say that the underlying goods are normal. So this is the case of normal goods. For normal goods, this value will always be positive. For example, for normal goods like food, clothing, housing, healthcare, education, recreation, for all these commodities the numerical value of the income elasticity of demand will be positive. But for food, for clothing, but for food, for clothing and housing, which we call it necessities. These are the necessities. Although the income elasticity of demand for all these goods, for all these commodities will be positive, but for food, for clothing, for housing, elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand is positive greater than 0, but low. It means that the income elasticity of demand for food, for clothing and for housing will be positive but low. It means that the value is between 0 and 1. it means that it is greater than 0, because 0 is not a positive. 0 is not a positive number nor a negative number. So the income elasticity of demand will be greater than 0 and less than 1. So it means its value will be positive but less than 1. It will be in the range of 0 to 1. It will be above 0 and less than 1. For healthcare, for education, similarly, for healthcare, for education, for recreation, for all these goods, this value means the value of the income elasticity of demand is greater than 0. So for healthcare, education and recreation, the value of the income elasticity of demand is likely to be well above 1. Likely to be well above 1. It means that its value will be greater than 1. Its value will be more than 1, maybe 2.5, maybe 2.8, maybe 2.3. So for such kind of commodities, the value of the income elasticity of demand will likely to be above 1. So if income elasticity of demand for a commodity is greater than 1, like this case, if income elasticity of demand for a commodity is greater than 1, so it is a luxury good or a superior good. That will be the case of luxury or superior good. So it means that for a normal good, the value of the income elasticity of demand is positive. For necessities, it will be between 0 and 1. For luxury or superior goods, this value will be greater than 1. But sometimes income of the consumer increases. Sometimes income of the consumer increases, but his demand decreases as well. For example, if income increases and quantity demanded of X decreases, mean income of the consumer rises and his purchasing power, mean he reduces his consumption. In this case, income elasticity of demand will be less than 0. If his income increases and his quantity demanded decreases, in this case income elasticity of demand will be less than 0. So that is change into quantity caused by a change in income will be less than 0. If this value is less than 0, it means that income elasticity demand coefficient value will always be less than 0. So this is the case of an inferior goods. For example, flour. Sometimes this is the case, for example, flour with lower income level, with lower income. The consumer is using flour for his consumption, but if the consumer gets more income, if his income increases from the original level, so the consumer now affords preferred food. The consumer now afford prepared food from the market. So he will shift his consumption from flour to preferred food. That's why consumption for the flour will be decreased, even though his income is increases in this case. That's why we are saying if income of the consumer increases and his quantity demanded decreases for a particular good, in that case the income elasticity of demand will be less than 0. Less than 0 means negative. The answer, the numerical value of the income elasticity of demand will be negative or less than 0. For example, flour. When the consumer was having lower income, he was using flour for his consumption, but now he is having more income. So with the increase in his income, he is interested to go for the prepared food from the market for his consumption. That's why in this case income elasticity of demand is less than 0. So more importantly, a commodity may be normal, but keep one thing in mind, that a commodity may be normal for some consumers at some income level, while a commodity may be luxury for other consumers at different income levels. So the concept is very important to firm in estimating and forecasting the overall demand for the product it sells in a particular market. One important use where we use the income elasticity of demand concept. So one important use of the income elasticity of demand is in forecasting the change in demand for a commodity that a firm sells under different economic conditions. For example, the demand for a commodity with low income elasticity of demand will not be greatly affected as a result of boom conditions or recession in the economy. For example, we have a firm, and firm is producing and selling commodity X, and the income elasticity of this commodity means EI is very low, and the income elasticity of demand for commodity X is low. So if the economy is experiencing boom or recession, if recession or boom is the case, so in this case his demand will not be greatly affected. On the other hand, the demand for a commodity, for example, if he is having a luxury items, so for the luxury items, if that particular firm is, for example, in the case of luxury items, if the consumer is consuming luxurious items for his consumption, so the demand for luxury items will increase very much when the economy is booming. In this case, when the economy is booming, demand for the product is very high, and vice versa. If the economy is experiencing recessions, so the demand for the particular product will be less. So the income elasticity of demand is a very important concept for the managerial decision making. If the firm is producing and selling a particular commodities whose income elasticity of demand is low, so in a boom position or in a recession, the quantity demanded for that particular commodity will not be affected hugely. But on the other hand, if the firm is producing or selling luxurious commodities, then when the economy is in boom position, then the demand for his product will be high. But if the economy goes into the recession periods, the demand for his product will be less and he will be gaining less total revenue and his profit will be discouraged. Thank you so much.